Welcome to Patchcast. Patch.com is a collection of news sites across the country covering local communities. Here in the Southern Peninsula, we cover Los Altos, Mountain View, and Cupertino. My name is L.A. Chung, and I cover Los Altos Patch. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about the stories that we have been working on this week. And for Los Altos, the biggest story, of course, is about the Bullis Charter School's long-term agreement for facilities. There is not yet an agreement reached, but they have been negotiating over the past couple months. As school is going to begin in August 2012, they have to come up with a decision about what to do for the near term in the coming school year. The Los Altos School Board sent an offer letter to the Bullis Charter School, and they needed an answer by Friday at noon. If it accepts the order, will stay on the current site where they have been for the last 8 years. That is their preference, they have stated in previous negotiations. If they reject the offer, they will be bound to an offer that was made earlier in the year to split up their school between Block School and Egan Junior High School. We're waiting to find out what happens on Friday, June 8th. I'd like to talk a little bit about the elections, of course. Our local politicians were elected quite easily. Joe Simitian came out in front as soon as the initial ballots were counted in early returns with about 58% of the vote. And currently, as the Santa Clara Office of Elections is still counting some of the provisional ballots and some of the mail-in ballots, he's at 57% of the vote. It's been an easy win for Joe Simitian, who was once before a supervisor for the 5th District of Santa Clara County. Since then, he's been a state assemblyman, he's been a state senator. The next thing I'd like to talk about has to do with the transit of Venus, which was a big excitement all around the country. It only happens every 105 to 121 years. Here in California, it was our first opportunity to see the transit of Venus in 105 years. Over at the Foothill Observatory and at the NASA Ames Exploration Center, they had lots of crowds thronging the area. One of the nice things about the Foothill Observatory, however, is that it's run by the Peninsula Astronomical Society, which is a group of amateur astronomers. And they run the observatory for the public, free and open to the public, for them to discover and enjoy astronomy. On events such as the annular solar eclipse and this last celestial event called the Transit of Venus, what happens is that people come out from all over the place and they want to see something. And astronomers come out and they bring their telescopes. And it turns into sort of a happening. And people share their telescopes and they share their knowledge, and it's a really freewheeling, wonderful event that takes place in front of the Foothill Observatory. I have some video I'd like to show of one of these amateur astronomers who came out from an area in the Santa Cruz Mountains, not far from Los Gatos. He brought his huge 45-pound telescope because he lives up in the redwoods. He can only see the sun for a short portion of time before it goes behind the trees. This way he was able to share it with some members of the public, quite a few members of the public. And also he had a little lesson he wanted to tell people about, and I have a little clip that talks about how he didn't quite understand a detail and put in a lens wrong, and what happened after that.
This is the dust cap for my eyepiece on my telescope, and that melted hole was made in less than a half a second by the sun's energy. When I had the solar filter and I hadn't put it on, attached it properly. So this is what could happen to your eye in no time flat if you look without the right protective equipment. And it was literally half a second, and it turned around and there was smoke pouring out of my scope from all the melted plastic.
Why did that happen, and why is that not
because I did
now?
Things in the wrong order. I was brand new, and I didn't. I read the instructions 2 or 3 times, and then I did them in the wrong order. So I had it aimed at the sun before I put the filter on, And as soon as I popped the one off, it went in immediately. It's just fried this thing. And so I could have bought another one for 10 cents, but it's a great reminder that little things matter, and you have to pay attention. So
I'd like to end my report with graduations. This is a really happy time, and so I thought I'd end my part of the newscast with a happy event. Last week, Los Altos High School, of course, had its graduation, and this week, the junior high schools in Los Altos School District had its graduation all on the same day. Both Egan Junior High School and Block Intermediate School held its graduation on Wednesday, June 6th. It was a really, really happy occasion. There were some wonderful speeches by the kids and tributes to their teachers and their parents and their friends.
Amanda Bauer. Leo Bacon. Rebecca Bettinger.
You have left a valuable and unforgettable impression on my heart. I will miss all of you dearly, but we are all off to amazing places. I wish the block class of 2012 all the best. You will do great things. I know it. Thank you for attending our graduation ceremony. 8th graders, you are now high schoolers.
So summer is really upon us now that we've had graduation, and I'd like to draw your attention to a few things coming up. June 9th and 10th is Relay for Life for Los Altos and Los Altos Hills. It takes place over at Egan Junior High School, and it's for a great cause, really important, and we encourage you to support them in any way you can. Also, I think you should keep an eye out for a certain spot on El Camino Real and San Antonio Road. The long-awaited opening of Dittmer's is due anytime this month now, and we really are expecting a huge crowd when it opens and a lot of really, really happy people. Beyond that, you can look forward to the Los Altos Art and Wine Festival. Los Altos Patch hopes to be there too. Thanks a lot.
Hi, and welcome to Patchcast, the broadcast version of Patch.com. Patch is an online network of news sites across the country, and I am Claudia Cruz, the editor of Mountain View Patch, and with my colleagues, L.A. Chung of Los Altos Patch and Ann Ernst of Cupertino Patch, we bring to you the news of the week. On top of the news in Mountain View is the unfortunate and tragic death of St. Francis High School rising junior Nick Juarez, who was killed along with his grandmother while he vacationed at her home in Lake Oswego, Oregon. The suspect, Adrian Graham Wallace, is Nick's uncle, and he confessed to the authorities, the sheriff's county, that he shot them both in the face because he wanted to prevent them from leaving their premises. The news is resoundingly affecting the community here in Mountain View, as he was again, a rising student at St. Francis, a member of the marching and jazz bands, as he was a drummer, a member of the youth ministry at Abundant Life Christian Fellowship, and well-loved and by his friends, family, teachers, and classmates. we will bring you more information about this as information is released by the authorities and when the funeral services are available. And his uncle has been arraigned and charged with 2 counts of aggravated murder and 1 count of unlawful possession of a weapon, and no bail has been set. Another tragic news from Wednesday, June 6th, there was a Caltrain fatality on the tracks of San Antonio Station. An adult male was trespassing and was hit by a southbound Caltrain at about 9:45 this morning, affecting 207 passengers aboard the Baby Bullet train. Caltrain spokespeople said that the Santa Clara Coroner's Office will investigate the cause of death, and this will have been Caltrain's 9th death on the right-of-way so far this year, compared to 16 in 2011. Also developing, and we will bring more information once we hear back from the Mountain View Police Department, was a potential possible hit and run that occurred on 779 East Evelyn, which is on the corner of Bernardo. There was a 47-year-old woman who was hit by a vehicle in the parking lot of a convenience store, that area. The police is still investigating, and Mountain View Patch will bring you more information next week when it becomes. Tuesday night was a primary election night, and Measure G, which will have raised $198 million for the Mountain View Wisdom School District, passed with an overwhelming 66% of the vote. The superintendent of the school district, chair of the campaign, supporters, teachers, volunteers all gathered to celebrate the victory that will now help improve the local schools and retrofit them to upgrade them for earthquake safety, improve the science labs, and just make sure that the schools are up to date and Mountain View Westman School District remains competitive in Silicon Valley. Other election news shows that Congresswoman Anna Eshoo and Dave Chapman will square off in November after they garnered the most votes in this primary election. They were the top 2 contenders, and Anna Eshoo took away 60% of the vote compared to Dave Chapman's 30.5%. In the state Senate race, Assembly member Jerry Hill of San Mateo County garnered 51.3% of the vote to Sally Lieber, former Mountain View mayor, and councilwoman's 22.1%. The 2 will also square off in November and should be, again, an interesting race to watch along with the other ones. Rich Gordon of San Mateo received, as I look at my notes, 56% of the vote to Yang's 29%, while the votes were still being counted. Tuesday, June 5th, was also very busy over at NASA Ames with the transit of Venus. Over 500 people, standing room only, stopped by the NASA Ames Exploration Center, including the San Jose Astronomical Association, which brought out about 40 telescopes for people who, after they were able to view some of the live streaming video from the observatory in Hawaii, people were able to then step outside and stop by these amazing telescopes, some worth upwards of $15,000, and these astronomers, or amateur astronomers, were very excited to be able to experience the day and share the day with members of the South Bay. People came as far as Sunnyvale, Los Gatos. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Some parents even took their kids out of school to make sure their kids didn't miss out on this great opportunity. On Friday, June 1st, was the Mountain View High School graduation. 434 seniors walked down the football field and accepted their diplomas, marking the beginning of their college experience or work experience. And the speeches were made by some of the students, and here are some excerpts of their speeches.
You can be who you want to be. You can do what you want to do. In writing this speech, Karen and I thought a lot about sticking to the script. writing the generic graduation speech we've all come to expect. That's not who we are. It's not who any of us are. If I want to talk about jellyfish in a box, I should.
And if I want to talk about stinging toilet paper, I should too. Because here's the dirty little secret. People love you for who you are.
The most genuine happiness comes from genuine expression.
Tonight, we are all successful high school graduates. Let us celebrate. Tomorrow, our future begins.
And learn from your mistakes.
3 AP classes and choir just don't mix. Because although we know that in college you can't have good grades, a social life, and sleep all at the same time, high school has truly taught us how to live.
I guess Mr. Wild really had a point there, huh?
I guess so. We're leaving high school as smart, well-rounded people who not only exist but live.
Who are capable, beautiful, engaged, and ready to truly make a difference.
Who are curious, ready to explore, take risks, and walk the road less taken. Because as Robert Frost once said, 2 roads diverged in the wood, and I
took the one less traveled by.
and that has made all the difference.
Upcoming in Mountain View is the Community Services Agency's annual gala. It's their 9th annual event, and this year is called Imagine. And they're hoping that members of the community imagine what life would be like without the services of CSA. CSA helps to give meals to seniors, has a food pantry, helps the homeless population in the area. And Mountain View Patch will be there to filming, speaking to people, and we'll make sure we bring you back that information when we shoot our next Patchcast next week. Also, TheaterWorks is premiering the world premiere of Wheelhouse. Wheelhouse is a musical production by a group called Groove Lily, and they will be in Mountain View starting Saturday, June 9th, and onward till June 22nd. So make sure that you contact TheaterWorks if you are interested in seeing them at the Mountain View Center of the Performing Arts. Also, look forward to a great interview, what we hope is a great interview, with Police Officer Kevin Nguyen. Nguyen is a sketch artist, so not only does he work full-time for the police department, but whenever they're looking for a suspect and they release a drawing, it is Officer Nguyen who, using just the information that the witness or the victim gives him, is able to put together some amazing sketches. So we look forward to bringing you that information in a few days in the next Patchcast. But until then, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you to the cast and crew of KMVT for all their support and help. Thank you very much.